The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is...
G'day team, welcome back. It is the 5th day of March 2008 and today we're looking at cell phone radiation and associated cancer. Electromagnetic radiation from cell phones, towers and electrical appliances, as well as new wireless technologies, stresses our health by disrupting hormonal action and physical processes, in some cases triggering cancer. Hello superstars and welcome to another insight into our Millicom Positive Global Solutions, and it's yet another cracker for Millicom, and the PGS in this instance is a helpful little device which is hopefully going to stop the enormous amount of radiation which is emitted from your cell phone. And on this particular investigation, we're going to look at electropollution, which is radiation from a number of devices that are unfortunately a little too close for comfort. On this insight, we'll probably just look at mobile phones in particular, due to the enormous popularity of these wonderful communications devices. But unfortunately, the good old mobile phone and the condom do have something in common, in that it is now reducing sperm count. New studies indicate that as much as 30% of sperm count is down in some men due to the use of mobile phones. So we need to be very, very careful, obviously. So anyway, let's have a bit of a look and see how dangerous these little devices can be. Power lines, transmitters, electrical wiring and appliances create both electric and magnetic fields, invisible lines of force that surround any electrical device. Our love affair with all things electrical means that we are now living in a dense sea of electromagnetic energy waves called electromagnetic radiation, or EMR, which are estimated to be 100 to 200 million times greater in prevalence than 100 years ago. Compounding the problem is the explosion of wireless technology, such as cell phones, mobile phones, Bluetooth, PDAs, wireless internet, Wi-Fi, which allows for internet access in airports, hotels, coffee shops and schools, etc. And our powerful microwave-emitting towers that are required for transmission. This pervasive wireless world emits a particular spectrum of electromagnetic radiation that has its own damaging effects on living systems. Within just 2 decades, wireless technology has exploded onto the global scene. Currently, there are more than 236 million cell phones in the US, 200 million in Canada, and 19 million in Australia. In addition, millions of cell phone towers have appeared in the landscape around the world, and thousands of communities either have Wi-Fi or are considering implementing it. The Wi-Fi hotspot phenomenon is expected to burgeon from 12,400 locations in the US and Canada by the end of 2007 to a whopping 78,000 by 2008. In just 25 years, the great majority of the human race has been exposed to a massive amount of electromagnetic radiation. Our homeostasis is now being thrown into turmoil by unprecedented levels of all forms of EMR, seriously compromising our body's ability to function properly. A growing body of scientific research acknowledges that presently the greatest threat to our health and well-being is an insidious, all-pervasive and invisible form of pollution called electropollution. Many health issues have been linked to EMR exposure, including various cancers, especially brain, eye, ear and leukemia, miscarriages, birth defects, chronic fatigue syndrome, headaches, chronic stress, nausea and heart problems, autism, learning disabilities, insomnia and Alzheimer's disease, just to name a few. Whether or not you choose to have a cell phone, the proliferation of wireless technology is exposing you and your children to dangerous forms of radiation that instantaneously damage your cells and alter all physiological processes. Then there's the electrical circuitry from cell phones, which generates a competing energy that interferes with one's own biofield or energy field. This kind of pervasive or ambient EMR compromises many psychological processes. When a cell phone is clipped onto the belt or kept in a pant pocket, this ambient field most powerfully affects the tissues and organs that it is closest to, particularly in the pelvic area. 2 studies have already shown a 30% reduction in sperm count in male mobile phone users. As more women clip their cell phone to their belt, female reproductive organs are also at risk. A word of caution is also needed to be mentioned about the dangers caused by ambient radiation from headsets. It's now acknowledged that headsets, far from being protective, can actually increase radiation emissions into the brain by as much as 300%. Bluetooth technology is equally as dangerous. The only headset to use is a hollow air tube headset, which we'll have a look at right now. The connection between breast cancer and electromagnetic radiation continues to strengthen. Colleagues at the Boston University of Public Health report a 43% increased risk in women with a high likelihood of occupational exposure to magnetic fields, such as those given off by mainframe computers. In fact, women who work in electrical jobs, including electricians, telephone installers, power line workers, and electrical engineers, have been shown to have a greater risk of dying from breast cancer. This increased incidence has been directly linked to the suppression of melatonin by electromagnetic radiation. Exposure to high levels of EMR also increases the level of adrenaline, the flight or fight hormone released from the adrenal glands. Prolonged chronic stress is detrimental to every anatomical system, including the reproductive one. Subliminal stress may affect fertility and elevate blood pressure, which can lead to heart disease and stroke, as well as suppress immune function. Even short EMR exposures, like the use of a cordless phone on and off throughout the day, could cause spikes in such hormone levels. Scientific studies continue to accumulate, showing that information-carrying radio waves from mobile phones and other wireless devices, now used by more than 3 billion people worldwide, are dangerous. The mobile phone industry has not addressed the problem. Governments around the world continue to be unable to protect consumers. Emerging science shows links to conditions ranging from learning and spectrum disorders to cancer. If unabated, the brunt of the disease burden will continue to be borne by our children and grandchildren. Electromagnetic radiation exposure compromise fundamental biological processes, including immune response and other physiological compensation systems. Thus, electropollution makes the population more susceptible and vulnerable to other environmental insults, such as air and water pollution, poor nutrition, exposures to viruses and bacteria, as well as physical stresses such as extreme heat or cold and stressful life events. As we rush into an exciting high-tech future, we must also understand that we are all participating in a massive experiment. Electropollution is a very real threat to present and future generations. Effective interventions are not a luxury, but simply a necessity. Like it or not, the ever-expanding intrusive electromagnetic world may be here to stay. The responsibility lies with each one of us to take the proactive steps that will protect us, our family, and future generations. Come on, team. Rise above the ordinary and be extraordinary. Guys, thanks for joining us. That's another Insight Millicom Positive Global Solutions. Have fun and keep smiling and be healthy, be safe.